Good morning, family. Welcome to today's Lessons for Life. Today's Tuesday, November 3rd, 2009, and today we're reading in 2 Chronicles Chapter 33. And as always, I encourage you to read these chapters through for yourself. See what you get from your email us when we put on the blog. And here we see the story about Manasseh, who has taken over. Remember, Hezekiah has gone on in the last chapter. So Manasseh's taken over, and of course it starts off and we read that he does evil. He starts off by doing evil and even rebuilding some of the things that Hezekiah had taken down. But what I want to share with you for Lessons for Life is as we go down and we see that, because he was doing evil, then the Lord delivered him into the hands of the enemy. And when it says he was in much affliction, then he really sought the Lord hard. And it was great that the Lord actually heard him and he saved him, and he helped him even at that point, even though he was so he did things wrong at the beginning. But he sought the Lord when he was going through that great affliction. And one of the lessons we can get from this is, like I said, it's great, it's wonderful that the Lord actually did still hear Manasseh and did still help him, and that just shows you qualities of the Lord, the compassion, the grace, the mercy. But what we can learn from even looking at Manasseh was just, when he goes through the great afflictions, when he really sought the Lord. Because before it was like he was serving so many other gods, or there was other images he was bringing up and so forth. But when he got into real trouble, he knew the Lord was the one that he could turn to and get help from. So it's funny that all these other gods or all these other things came up to distract him before, but when he got into the real trouble, the real great affliction, then he was able to seek the Lord and he got help from the Lord. So what we can learn from that is, sometimes we wait until like the last moment where we're going through something so terrible, and then that's when we turn and we seek the Lord. And before then we have all these other distractions, these other things that kind of preoccupy us, take our time away from seeking the Lord. But when we go through that great affliction is when we turn to seek the Lord. And a lesson that we should learn from even watching Manasseh, like I said, it was great that the Lord did still hear him and help him. But it would be better for us to seek the Lord beforehand, as opposed to having to wait till the last moment, because that's what we do a lot of times, even in different things. Just wait. We try and push the envelope, as they say, or just take it to the very end, see how far we can actually get. Even like how children do sometimes, they take it, they try and see how far they can get away with something before they stop doing it. But that's the same thing we do, even though we may be a little older or whatever. We take it as far as we can, and then when we get into real trouble, that's when we start seeking the Lord. But it would be so much better if, before we got into that great affliction, that we kept that proper relationship with the Lord and sought the Lord beforehand. So that's what I got as I was reading from this chapter, because like I said, Manasseh wasn't doing right first, but then he knew when he got in trouble where to turn to, and then he got help. So it would be better for us, before we get into that great big affliction, to actually go to the one that helps us anyway before all that, to avoid all the great affliction, and it would just be that much easier for us. So that's what I want to share with you for today's Lesson for Life. With that, create yourself a wonderfully blessed day today, and we'll talk again tomorrow.